Good morning, guys. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Elizabeth, and today we are going to be talking about the EF Ultimate Break Patagonia Adventure Chile and Argentina trip. I went on this trip in February. I had a great time, but I think there are pros and cons to this trip that I just want to put out there for a review. It is still a relatively new EF trip, and I think that there are ways that they could tweak it to make it even better. It is a lot of travel. It is a lot of hiking. The hiking is great. The travel, not so much, but the areas that you go are like so out there that you need to travel a lot to get there. But I think there are ways that we could adjust the itinerary in the future and like make it just a little better and not so only focused on hiking on like 3 days of the trip. So this was my 9th EF trip. It was my first hiking EF trip. I had a absolutely amazing time. The hikes were beautiful. I think Argentina was probably the most beautiful place that I had ever been or I had ever seen. It was just stunning. The mountains down there, the scenery, the glacier. Oh, so beautiful. I loved it so much. I have a note in my phone that I like kind of kept track of the whole time, like just random things. So I'll go down the list of like stuff that I already like thought of. It won't be in any sort of organized order because thoughts would randomly hit me and to be like, that would be better, that would be better, stuff like that. So starting off, we landed in Santiago in the morning and then had that entire day free just to like do whatever we wanted. I wasn't like, I knew we were getting there in the morning and I knew we would have the whole day open, but I thought there would be like some sort of guided tour or like group get together or something, but really we were just on our own all day and there was a lot of free time on this trip. I would say that a guided like either walking tour, bus tour, something like that in Santiago would have made this so much better. It wasn't that we couldn't find things to do, but I just think it's so nice. One of the reasons why I like taking EF trips is because you do get a tour director and they help you like get into the city, they show you around, they give you fun facts, and it's just like sometimes the walking tours are my favorite parts of cities just because you get to go around and see so many different things that you wouldn't make it to. We did not get like bus passes, metro passes, any sort of thing. Like Uber's here so cheap, but sometimes I just think it's fun. Like if you have a whole free day, it's nice when EF provides like public transportation for you so that you can really like get around and see everything. And Santiago was freaking huge. There was so much we didn't even like dip our toes into, and it would have just been nice if we had that like as a group. Maybe other people disagree with me, but I think that would be one thing that would have been like just like nice to have. Is it necessary? No, but it would have been very nice to have for that day. Since there was so much free time and we did not have any sort of like guided tour, I say do research before you arrive. Go online and see what you want to see, what you want to be sure you like get pictures of, you do anything like that, because we were kind of like sitting in the hotel like, what is around here? What can we do? And so knowing that ahead of time, like, yeah, we could have prepared better, but we just kind of flew by the seat of our pants. I have all of the hotels that we stayed in plus room tours and all of the daily vlogs that I have on my channel. I will link it right here if you have not seen it. I recommend going and watching that if you want to deep dive into this trip because it shows you what the rooms look like and our thoughts like right when we get there. So if it didn't have Wi-Fi, I don't think that's acceptable for a plus trip. You're paying more for it to be a nicer accommodation, and Wi-Fi should be like the bare minimum. And yes, we stayed in places that there's no Wi-Fi. I say for this trip, it is not like a cutesy like wear dresses every day type of trip. You want athletic clothes, you are on the bus traveling a lot, sometimes you take a flight, you are hiking, you want to be comfortable, you want to be like in active clothing. I know a lot of people say like, oh, when you go on vacation to Europe, they'll make fun of you if you wear athletic clothes. No, no one down here cares. Wear whatever you want, but be comfortable. We wore leggings almost every day. Just regular t-shirts, sweatshirts, hiking boots. Like it wasn't like a super cute dress up type of trip. It was a look at how beautiful all of these views are. Take pictures of the views and not necessarily like me. Layers are so important. I loved our puffer jackets that we had. It's like the jackets that we brought were an inside layer to like a big heavy winter coat. It had like an outer shell that was waterproof. We brought those shells, did not use them once, did not even get them out or unfold them. I think that's just because we had super great weather. We got so lucky. It didn't rain on any of the days that we were hiking. It only rained on like travel days when we would be in the bus all day anyway. Card was widely accepted in Chile. They would even like split the bill for you at restaurants, so it was like super great. You didn't have to worry about it. but there was an extra fee for like the POS system, like processing fee. It was not on the restaurants. It would be like for using the, like it's like a credit card fee that some places do, like a certain percentage of your total to charge for the credit card. As a small business owner, I get it, but down there it wasn't even like that expensive. It was like anywhere between like 30 cents to $1 or $2, so it was not like bad at all. I've never had this happen on an EF trip, but every single day that we would get on the bus, we would get a free bottle of water. This was super nice, super great. Our tour director would come around with cold bottles of water and we would just like get fresh water for the day. We were told not to drink the water down there, so this was, I don't know if it was like an EF thing or just our tour director thing, but it was so nice to get just like fresh water and not have to worry about going out and buying it all the time. We did not have a lot of time in Punta Arenas. I will say that I don't know what I would have done with more time though, like having it there. We were there on a Sunday and just about everything was closed. I think we had to meet with our group like to get on the bus and leave at like 1 or 1:30, and everything was closed until noon anyway, so we just kind of like walked around and like hung out in the morning. And like if we had more time there, I'm not sure how we would have spent it even if things were open. So like at first looking at the itinerary, I was like, oh, we don't have a lot of time there. It would have been nice to explore and like see more and do more, but like I would have rather had more time in other places than there. Honestly, I could have skipped the first 2 or 3 days of this trip and just gone straight into the hiking and like skipped Santiago and the first flight and like everything like that. I don't want to say that they were wasted days because they were necessary travel days, but I don't think they were like a highlight of the trip or like super exciting or anything like that. Again, if we would have had like guided tours in like Santiago and stuff, I think it would have been a little bit better. Again, with the one full day in Santiago and then like the morning before we like left to go to the airport again, I think like when I was there, like in the moment, I kept saying, oh, I wish we had another day here. Like there's so much to like see and we couldn't see it all in that time. But then getting to the next places and looking back, everyone in my group said, oh, we could have just skipped that completely. At first we were like, this isn't enough time. But then seeing what was to come, we were like, we could just take that whole city off and just go straight to the good parts, like at the bottom of South America. So I think if we would have had like a walking tour there, that would have made it like another activity. It would have been great, but I think since we had so much time on our own, we were like, now that we are to the group like hiking stuff in the middle of the trip, we were like, this is what we came here for. Okay, so the hotel that we stayed in that was not plus worthy at all was in Punta Natales. It was no Wi-Fi, not walking distance to the city, not great showers, no AC. The staff at this hotel were amazing. If we were only like have 1 or 2 of these things that were like wrong, it would have been fine, but I think for a plus trip, this was not it. I left this like comment on my review, so hopefully they change it because there are a ton of options there. We really didn't have that much time at the hotel anyway, but I think that like the no Wi-Fi thing is a no-go for me. And being in the like, when I tell you we were in the middle of nowhere, I mean we were in the middle of nowhere. It would have been nice to just be like either walking distance to the city or having Wi-Fi, but I think both of them were no. And I think this was the HD Natalius hotel, and like it was cute. I put it in my video, it was adorable, but like it wasn't ideal for a plus trip according to Elizabeth's standards. So before going on this trip, I had a lot of questions about money exchange, card versus cash. Do I get cash in the States and bring it down? Do I bring US dollars? Do I bring local currency? I usually go to the bank and like order the local currency here and take it with me. What was the protocol? And I was not getting like super clear answers online, but for Chile, card everywhere. Don't worry about getting cash. No big deal. You won't need it. You are fine. Argentina, we personally used cash every day because I thought that that's what we needed. Our tour director said that as of December of 2023, there's not a huge difference in exchange rate between card rate and cash rate for being down there. So on everywhere, they accept, all the little shops and stuff we went to, they accepted card, US dollar, euro, and then the Argentinian pesos. We were told to bring crisp $50 bills and $100 bills. But when you go into a souvenir shop and you have a $100 bill to pay for like a $2 souvenir, it just did not make sense in my mind. And so we took our US dollar cash to a little exchange place and got pesos for it. If you would pay with US dollars in the store, you got like a 1,100 pesos to US dollar cash. If you would give the cash to the exchange person, the US dollar, you got 1,030 Argentinian pesos per US dollar. We exchanged just so we had smaller bills. In reality, I would just bring US dollars and a card. I would bring smaller US dollars, so 5s, 10s, 20s, not necessarily 50s and 100s. I will say our tour director preferred to be tipped in US dollars. Our bus driver preferred to be tipped in US dollars. People prefer US dollars down there more because they hold their value better than the pesos. The pesos currency fluctuates all the time. US dollars is more like reliable and consistent, so they prefer that. So if I could go back again, I wouldn't even exchange it and I would have brought smaller US dollars, but that's just my opinion. So I shared all of the hikes that we actually did in my daily vlogs. I don't know the names of them because we weren't always like told the names. I'm sure if I would have looked deeper into the signage or whatever, I would have like seen it. But our guides told us that sometimes the hikes were decided day of, depending on like weather conditions and the group and everything like that. So there was one hike we did that we got to go extra and go far because we had a really good day and our group was moving like pretty quickly. Our guide said that the last EF group did not get to do the extra part just because the day was not as nice. So if you have your heart set on something, it could change based on the weather. It's just something you have to know about going in, I guess. This is very random, but I wish I personally would have brought just like a little thing of cream sunscreen instead of a spray sunscreen. Since I had layers on all the time, I mostly wore like leggings, thicker, like taller socks, long sleeve shirts and jackets, and I didn't have any like cream sunscreen. I wish I just brought like face stuff to put on my face instead of having my spray can. I was thinking like, oh, I would spray this and like be fine, but then I didn't realize like most of my skin would be covered and it was just would have been better to just bring the cream. I think personally I would have brought a larger hiking backpack. David and I did share the backpack, so I did not think there was a lot of room in there for all of our layers, our lunch, waters, sunscreen, bug spray, everything like that. And I thought this was just a me thing that I was thinking of, but I was talking to other people in my group on the 15-mile hike diet and they were like, yeah, if I could go back, I would have for sure brought a larger backpack just so I could have more room for stuff just in case. So bring a bigger backpack than you think you need. Personally, we did not use our waterproof pants or waterproof shells on our jackets or our umbrellas or anything, but like I said, we just got super great weather and that is why we didn't use it. If we would have gotten crappy weather, we would have probably used them every day. I also brought too many tank tops. I think I packed 3 and I wore 0. I also brought too many pairs of shorts. I think I also brought 3 pairs of shorts and I wore just 1 pair of shorts. Is EF necessary for this particular trip? Like, I think Europe is super doable on its own and like it's super easy to go in there and like get around and do whatever you want. I appreciated having EF like organize everything on this trip just because there was a lot of travel. This was the first place I've been in my entire life. This was countries 26 and 27 and it's the first ever place that I've been that they did not have any English translated anywhere on like little sign plaques under Spanish or in restaurants or anything like that. There was hardly any English anywhere, which is completely fine. I understand the language is Spanish. If I'm going down there, I know that. But I appreciated having EF to organize everything, help with the border crossing from going to Chile to Argentina, just like make things easier, worry about transportation, getting from place to place, organizing everything, picking the hikes, having a guide, everything like that. Just with my own personal history, my mom died in a national park while she was hiking. My own personal history, I don't want to hike alone. I don't want to like organize the hikes and be responsible for my own self. Like, I know I still am when I'm out there, but having someone at the front of the group and someone at the back of the group, making sure the whole group is together, starts and ends, finishes, you know, whatever. I appreciated that so much. I appreciated having someone local who knows the conditions and stuff, look out for weather, make the decisions, everything like that, so that I did not personally have to worry about it. I would do another EF hiking trip just because of my own personal history with hiking. If you are confident in that and hiking doesn't like make you nervous or scare you and you're like confident in your abilities of like decision making and like hiker safety and stuff, maybe you don't need EF. Maybe you speak Spanish, maybe you think getting around is super easy. I liked having EF for this trip. They made it much better. Coming down from our 15-mile Mount Fitzroy hike, there was one girl in our group that was going home the next day because she had a funeral to attend, and so her flight schedule was changed and she was going home a day early. And literally everyone that we talked to was like, we wish we were on her flight. We wish we were going home tomorrow. We are so exhausted. But We loved having the day in Buenos Aires. I wish we had a walking tour of this city also, or like an activity or something. Like there was too much free time and I would have liked something. I think this trip was too expensive to have just so much free time. I would have rather had EF organize something. But that aside, I loved the city. I loved going around and exploring. We had a beautiful day and it was fun. I was not having high hopes when we got there, but our hotel in that city was wonderful. And like, we just walked around and explored all day and had like a really great time. Our farewell dinner also, out of all 9 EF trips I've been on, this farewell dinner was hands down the best I've ever had. They serve steak. I don't even like steak. And it was incredible. The experience was great. The staff was great. We had tons of wine, appetizers, like so many courses, and it was just wonderful. And it was just like so nice and like upscale restaurant. It was beautiful. 10 out of 10. Recommend 100%. So I have a packing video listed on my channel. Those, like the layers and stuff and the tank tops and shorts, were the only things I kind of like didn't need, but I was glad that I had. I am glad that I brought my hiking boots and my like white gym shoes and my Tevas, just because I did end up wearing them all. Other than that, like hiking was perfectly fine. I used basically everything else and I'm glad that I packed the way that I did. Again, we went in February. We got lucky with the weather. I don't know what else to say about it. Still think relatively new trip. Adding a couple walking tours would like make it better, hands down, in my opinion, but that's okay. Like, I didn't go to get a tour of Santiago. I went to see these gorgeous views and mountains while hiking, and that's what happened. It's just a lot of travel going from place to place. Like, we'd have one full day of like hiking from like early in the morning to late at night, and then the next day we would spend all day like on the bus or at the airport on a plane getting to where we needed to go. And that was fine. I think we spent at least 3 hours every single day on the bus, because even if we were like at a hotel and going to a hike, we drive at least like an hour and a half to get there, and then that same time to get back, or from place to place. And like, that sounds like a lot saying it, but it wasn't horrible. After hiking so much, you kind of appreciated having like a day to just like sit on the bus and do nothing. It wasn't as like mentally stimulating or like overwhelming as some trips where you're like going out and doing stuff all the time. And it was like definitely a balance. I think it could have been balanced better with doing some activities on the travel day, so you didn't just like get somewhere and be like, okay, well, what do I do now? But it was like fine. Overall fine. I think out of the 9 trips I've been on, this ranks pretty much in the middle. My least 2 favorite have been Costa Rica and London and Paris, and my top 2 favorite have been Australia and New Zealand, which is going to be super hard to top, and then ultimate Italy. So those are kind of like top and bottom, and then this is right in the middle. I would say this is similar to Spain, Morocco, Portugal, and Greek islands, just like personal preference. They do have empanadas down there, which like, I love empanadas. Made it super easy to eat. It was super cheap there and I loved it. Speaking of super cheap there, I have a little list of how much money I spend. Actually, I have on the back other things that I did not use, where I packed 2 pairs of jeans and only wore 1. So only packed 1 pair of jeans. Anyway, total amount that I spent. This is for my husband and I. So us together, we spent, total we put on our credit card for everything we bought, ate, saw, excursions, whatever in Chile, plus everything at the airport to get there and to get home. We spent $333.55 in Chile. And then for Argentina, we spent $450 US. That includes tips for bus driver, tour director, and the amount that we like transferred over. We spent every single thing that like we converted once we were there, if that makes sense. So 450, 333. We total for both of us together spent $783.55, which is $391.78 per person, or about $32.65 per person per day. So typically we spend about like $50 US per person per day on these trips. So in our opinion, this was a very cheap trip. Again, a plus trip, so some of the meals were included, and then some of the meals we just had like empanadas, which were super cheap down there. So like, I love empanadas, so it was great. So $33 per person per day. I thought that was great, super reasonable, 10 out of 10. We love that. So that is it for this video. I hope it was helpful. I know that the money and the packing and the layers can all be very confusing, but you'll be okay. It's fun. It's worth it just to have a little bit extra and not use it than to get there and it be pouring down rain and you'd be like, wish I brought my outer shell of my coat and could stay dry. I say pack more instead of packing less, but you do you. That is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it helps. Let me know if you have any questions down below. I will do my best to answer them. The next couple videos that come out will be from our trip to South Africa. I am so excited. We've never done back-to-back trips like this before, so we're gonna have so much fun. I'll have daily videos and a packing video and a trip review coming out from that soon. If you are interested in booking a trip with EF Ultimate Break, be sure to use my link down below. It gets you $100 off your first trip with them. I am an ambassador for them, but again, that doesn't make me only say positive things. I'm sitting here telling you that this was not the best trip ever because there could be improvements, and that's just my opinion. I want the trip to be better for when you go on it versus how it was when I went on it. I want things always to be improving so that you can have a great time. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye!